Nigerians observe the nation's 59th independence anniversary. President Buhari calls for patriotism and unity. A constitutional lawyer says Vice President Yemi Osinbajo cannot waive his immunity because it is constitutionally tied to his office. On the international scene, China shares birthday with Nigeria as it celebrates 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic. And in sports, Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbare disqualified again.
This is ANN News.
It's Independence Day. Nigeria turns 59 today, and there are events across the country marking the occasion. Workers across the nation have the day off to celebrate. President Muhammadu Buhari started the day off with his Independence Day nationwide address, in which he appealed to Nigerians to be patriotic and shun all acts that could cause division.
This change can only be delivered if we are united in purpose as individuals and as a nation. We must all remain committed to achieving this positive and enduring change.
Instructed the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to release 600 billion naira for capital expenditure in the next 3 months. He said this is necessary to fulfill his administration's desire to significantly increase investments in the nation's critical infrastructure.
Road infrastructure tax credit scheme, we are giving incentives to private sector inflow of over 205 billion naira in 19 Nigerian roads and bridges of 794.4 kilometers in 11 states of the Federation.
The president also promised his administration would continue to fight against illegal bunkering of crude oil and the smuggling of refined petroleum products across the borders. He also said offenders would be prosecuted and convicted if found guilty. The president then addressed the country's power problems. He said his government is determined to reform the power sector so there would be speedy socio-economic transformation across the country.
In managing our oil wells endowments, we will continue to prudently save our oil income and invest more in the non-oil job-creating sectors.
That no Nigerian leader has been able to keep by expressing confidence that his government would be able to provide affordable and uninterrupted electricity supply to the nation in the not-too-distant future. He said efforts being made to improve the power sector will rub off on other infrastructure investment projects under the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund. He specifically referred to investments in the Mambila Power Plants project, as well as key economic road infrastructure such as the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Second Niger Bridge, and Abuja-Kano Expressway. The president said the first of those projects are on track and would be completed by 2022. We'll look into another part of the president's Independence Day speech where he discussed two other topics: Sani Abacha's $300 million loot and the $9.5 billion P&ID judgment. The president says is committed to fighting corruption in the country and pointed to some measures his administration has put in place to do just that. President Buhari also talked about the repatriation of the billions of stolen money Sani Abacha had stashed abroad. He also lamented how he said some Nigerians cost the $9.5 billion judgment against the country. He said institutional reforms to enforce the Treasury single account policy, introduction of the Whistleblowers Initiative, expanding coverage of the integrated payroll personnel and information system, and the government's integrated management information system have saved the country's billions of naira in the last 4 years. He said these same moves have discouraged rampant theft and mismanagement of public funds that have plagued the nation's public service. The president said the government is working closely with the United States to expedite the repatriation of the $300 million Abacha loot in that country. In the spirit of independence, Ondo State government has pardoned some inmates from various prison facilities across the state. Some death sentences was commuted to life for 7 death row convicts. The state government also granted mercy to some prisoners serving various jail terms. This was in the spirit of the commemoration of Nigeria's 59th independence anniversary. Acting Governor Agbola Ajayi has sent a letter to the controller of Nigeria Correctional Services instructing that 7 inmates who were convicted and sentenced to death by hanging should no longer be executed. An Abuja constitutional lawyer has said Vice President Yemi Osinbajo cannot waive his immunity. Rowan Okpanachi says the immunity is tied to the office of Vice President and cannot be waived. It says the only way to waive the immunity is for the Vice President to resign. Okpanachi was reacting to President Osinbajo's statement that he would waive his constitutional immunity to clear his name over the 90 billion naira he was alleged to have received from the Federal Inland Revenue Service during the last election campaigns. Okpanachi says the position of the law, it is in a section of the Constitution, it said bars the Vice President from even instituting any case in his name. Coming up, African stories. Some victims' families of Ethiopian Airlines crash have refused financial compensation from Boeing, citing traditional beliefs. And later, international news. China stages grand celebrations of its 70th National Day anniversary.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. Some of the families that lost loved ones in the crash of an Ethiopian Airlines plane in March have refused financial compensation from Boeing. A U.S.-based lawyer, Adam Ramji, who had visited these families in Kenya and Ethiopia, says it's shocked that any family could cite cultural beliefs as a reason to reject financial compensation for the death of a family member. The accident, which left 157 people dead, claimed the lives of 32 Kenyans, 9 Ethiopians, and 8 Americans, among other nationalities. Ramji says he had told the families that the way big companies are punished for infractions is by making them pay for their misdeeds. He said the families could use the money in so many different ways, like giving it away, creating a charity, scholarships, and other beneficial projects for the community. Ramji is representing 3 Kenyan families. Boeing intends to pay more than $145,000 for each life lost in the crash. The 3rd edition of the ECOWAS Youth Forum has been held in Abidjan, the Ivory Coast capital. The forum discussed various issues affecting the youth in the region.
For 3 days, participants of the West African Youth Forum touched on a wide array of issues affecting the ECOWAS region. The young minds tackled topics from fake news to elections and the relationship between peace and climate change.
African youth must know that the issue of climate change is multidimensional. When speaking about the climate, we are speaking not only about the environment, but also about peace and security. The world needs to know that preserving the environment means preventing conflict.
Besides discussing topics, participants were also encouraged to promote the message of peace in their communities.
Donc, disons que à la sortie de cette...
At the end of this forum, the ECOWAS youth of Côte d'Ivoire decided to launch awareness campaigns to prevent and avoid potential tension before, during and after the elections.
Over 120 participants from 9 ECOWAS countries took part in the forum.
Safia Hassan made history in May when she became the first female mayor of a city in Somalia. She leads the famous city of Beledweyne, capital of Hiran province, located in the Shabelle Valley near the border with Ethiopia. She is the second mayor of the city of almost 2 million inhabitants. She has been tackling various issues in the city and has expressed her commitment to transform it. Abdulaziz Bilo reports.
Safia Hassan Sheikh has made history in her country by becoming the first female mayor. At 43, Safia is the mayor of Beledweyne town, one of the biggest economic hubs in central Somalia. 3 months into her new role, Safia says she is up to the task of transforming her town.
My appointment is a testimony of the progress made by women in Somalia. It is my hope that I will not fail them. From my experience, women have proven to be more reliable in positions of power as compared to male colleagues.
The town of Beledweyne is strategically located along the Shabelle Valley and border with Ethiopia. The Shabelle River divides the town into two. Its inhabitants are mostly farmers and pastoralists. However, the town has been affected by floods in recent years, displacing thousands from their homes.
I have created policies and directives for local government institutions. After that, we embarked on delivering crucial services offered by local government offices.
Beledweyne is relatively stable compared to other surrounding towns in the Hiran region. Allied troops have managed to thwart Al-Shabaab attacks in the region. The new mayor says that Al-Shabaab remains a major threat in the region and the country, but vows to fulfill her mandate that also includes securing this city that is home to more than 300,000 inhabitants.
Al-Shabaab's targets are not specific. Everyone is a potential target. The attack on the former mayor of Mogadishu is an example. He was killed inside his own office. Al-Shabaab is a threat to government and state officials.
In a conservative Islamic society, women continue to record significant inroads in matters of politics in the Horn of African nation. In recent years, the country has seen a sharp increase in the number of female politicians serving in both houses of parliament and other elective posts. In 2012, Fawzia Yusuf Haji made history after she was appointed to become Deputy Prime Minister and the country's top diplomat, the highest position to be held by a female politician in the country's history. Haji is now head of a major political party, and in less than 2 years, Somalia will be holding crucial general elections. Women in the country say they remain committed to ensuring that they are well represented in all elective posts.
When we return, international news. China stages grand celebrations of its 70th National Day anniversary. And later, sports. Blessing Okagbare disqualified for a second time.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to world events. Like Nigeria, China is celebrating its National Day commemorating 70 years of the founding of the People's Republic. The anniversary was held in a grand celebration complete with a military parade that featured 59 formations and a military band. More than 160 aircraft and nearly 600 pieces of equipment were also involved. Reporter Sun Huanyi was there.
More than 100,000 military and civilian participants gathered at the heart of Beijing on Tuesday morning, ready for a military parade and a mass pageantry to celebrate the 70th founding anniversary of the People's Republic of China, PRC. Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered an important speech at the ceremony.
My fellow countrymen, comrades, friends, today we are gathered here to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. At this moment, people of all ethnic groups in China and Chinese men and women all over the world are filled with great joy and happiness, proud of this great country, and sending good wishes to our great motherland.
According to military officials, the scale of the parade is greater than the ones marking the 50th and 60th founding anniversaries of the PRC, as well as the V-Day military parade in 2015. The parade is expected to showcase China's achievements in building its national defense and armed forces in the past 70 years and reflect the outcomes of the recent reform of the People's Armed Forces. At a grand evening gala in Tiananmen Square on the same day, party and state leaders will join the public to watch performances and a fireworks show.
Yemen's Houthi rebels have released the broadcast footage they claimed was of a major attack on Saudi Arabia in August that killed or wounded 500 soldiers. The video also showed thousands of soldiers they say were Saudis surrendering. A Houthi military spokesman, Yahya Saree, described an ambush of the Saudi forces that then developed into an all-out cross-border offensive that trapped the troops inside Saudi Arabia. The Houthis say more than 200 were killed in dozens of missile and drone strikes while trying to escape or surrender. Saudi Arabia has not yet responded to the Houthi claim. The Kremlin says there must be mutual agreements before transcript of calls between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin can be published. The White House was severely restricted the distribution of memos detailing Trump's calls with foreign leaders, including Putin. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says that diplomatic practice doesn't envisage such publications, adding that the issue is U.S. internal business. The rough transcript of Trump's call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, released by the White House, is now the focus of a U.S. impeachment probe. The publication of the call, in which the president made critical comments about German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Emmanuel Macron, has hurt Ukraine's efforts to forge closer ties with the European Union and drawn sharp comments from other Russian officials and lawmakers. Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission is still counting votes from Saturday's ballots, with early figures suggesting just a quarter of registered voters participated. The front-runners in the presidential race have both declared victory following the lowest election turnout since the Taliban was ousted. Jack Barton reports.
Having expected the results of Saturday's presidential election the following day, Afghans were told they may have to wait 3 weeks. What is clear is that only about 20% of registered voters cast a ballot. Security was a big concern.
The second reason is the security, but the first reason is that the people have a lot of questions to the politics.
Analysts say allegations of past electoral fraud and corruption has led to disillusionment.
It is dangerous for the next government of Afghanistan, because people surely don't believe it about the next government of Afghanistan.
A legitimate president leading a legitimate government is necessary to help foster a peace deal between the US and the Taliban. The Taliban currently controls more territory than at any time since the start of the US-led invasion, which followed a prolonged civil war which came after the fight against the Soviet Union. So in reality, the next president will have to lead a country devastated by 4 decades of conflict. The resurgence of the Taliban amid the political turmoil worries many Afghans. Afghans want a better economy and less corruption, but those are not the top priority.
The decreasing of violence, to stopping the killing of civilians. This is the first priority. I think everybody wants in Afghanistan to end this war.
What is needed is for a presidential candidate to emerge with a clear majority.
It is a very good point we have after the election when elected government, because it is legally staged for the negotiation with the Taliban or other groups.
If an outcome is announced in 3 weeks, it's likely to lead to a runoff election between the 2 leading candidates, something officials say would happen in November at the earliest.
Still ahead, sports. Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbare disqualified again. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sports. Nigeria's female track star Blessing Okagbare has been disqualified from the 200 meters event for a second time at the IAAF World Championships in Doha, Qatar. The sprinter was initially disqualified after she didn't show up for the 100-meter races that she never intended to run. An IAAF appeals panel reinstated them. She was disqualified again for stepping outside her lane. African Football Confederation officials are investigating why a CAF Champions League match scheduled for Egypt at the weekend was not played. Zamalek of Egypt were due to meet Generation Foot of Senegal in Cairo Saturday in the second leg of the last 32 tie, with the West Africans holding a 2-1 aggregate lead. But Zamalek decided last Friday to move the match to Sunday in Cairo for security reasons. That is any news this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.